Okay, now that we built a strong base for our backdoor and we know that we can use it to send and receive data reliably, let's go ahead and start implementing cool and useful features in this backdoor. Now, right now, the backdoor already allows us to execute system commands. And what we want to be able to do is, first of all, access the file systems, so navigate between the directories of the hacked computer. I also want to be able to upload files and download files. Now, it's always a good idea to think before we start programming. So if you look at all of the commands that we want to implement, they all take some sort of an argument or option. So when we want to use the CD, we're given the directory name. When we want to upload a file, we're given the file name. And when we want to download a file, we're downloading the file name. Also, probably if you want to add more features, chances are you'll want your features or your commands to be able to take arguments or to send arguments to the target. Right now, we send everything as a string, but it'll actually make sense to split the string or the command that the user inputs into a list so that the first element of the list is going to be the command and the second element is going to be the first argument, the third element, if there is a third element, will be the third argument, and so on. And since we built a strong base, since our send and receive methods use JSON, we can actually send lists to and from the backdoor. So what I want to do in here, I'm taking the command from my raw input, and my command right now is literally a string. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say my command is equal to the command dot split, and I'm going to split this based on spaces. So the string is going to be converted into a list in which each element is a word in this string. So let me show you an example before we actually use this. I'm going to do print command, and we actually won't send or receive anything. Let's just see what's this going to look like. So I'm just going to comment this, and I'm going to run my backdoor. And let's run the backdoor from here. We have a connection. Now the commands that I'm going to run will not get executed because I commented the code that sends and receives the data. But what I want to do is just show you what the commands are going to look like. So let's say, for example, I'm doing cd test. As you can see, cd is the first element and test is the second element. So let's do another command. Let's just run this is a sample. And again, as you can see, this is being separated into a list in which each word is an element. So we can access the first element or the first word by typing command square bracket 0. Second element is command square bracket 1, and so on. Now we spoke about lists before, so I don't want to spend too much time on this. And basically the main reason I'm doing this so that I can separate my command from its arguments. So as an example, let's implement a very simple but important command, which is an exit command that will allow us to properly quit the backdoor. You can see right now when I quit the backdoor, I type Ctrl+C in here. This sometimes leaves the backdoor open in here. As you can see, the socket is still open, and we have to come here and do Ctrl+C as well. So it'll be a good idea to actually implement a command that if I type it, it'll properly close the socket both at the listener and at the client or at the backdoor. So what I'm going to do in here, we don't need to print the command anymore. So we're going to remove that, and I'm going to uncomment these lines. And what I'm going to do in my execute remotely method, this is already taking the command. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check if the command square bracket 0, so we're checking if the first element, which is this element of the command, is equal to exit. Then we want to first of all close our connection. So we're going to do self.connection.close. This will close my socket. And then I want to exit the Python program, and this is something that I haven't showed you before. We can exit the program by just typing exit. Now this will properly exit me out of the listener, but the backdoor will still be running. So what I'm actually gonna do before I exit, I'm going to send this command to the backdoor so that the backdoor will know that we want to exit. So we're going to do a reliable send to the backdoor so that it knows that we want to execute the exit command. We're going to check if the command is exit. We're going to close the connection and exit in here. And then the backdoor is going to receive this. So let me just fold this and fold this. And the backdoor is going to receive my command in here. So again, we're going to do the exact same check that we did in the listener. We're going to check if the command and 0 is equal to exit. Then we'll do a self.connection.close. And we'll also do an exit. And we're done. Now we actually don't need this line, and there was actually a mistake in this line. So we'll remove that. And that's our code done now. Now keep in mind, I can access the command as a list in here because we are sending the data as a JSON object, and then we are unwrapping it in here when we receive it. If we were using the normal way of sending the data, we will not be able to deal with the list or even send the list as a list. We'll have to always send data as string and receive the data as a string as well. So let's go and test this and see if our backdoor still works. So I'm going to clear the screen, run the backdoor, and in here we'll execute it. We have a connection. Let's run some commands, make sure everything is working fine. And let's say we want to exit. All we're going to do is just type exit. And as you can see, the connection will get closed properly in here. And if we go here again, as you can see, the connection got closed properly. Now also keep in mind that the execute system command method still works even though the command is a list now, because this method uses the check output function in the subprocess class. And as we've seen before, this class can either take a string or a list of strings as the input command. That's why we didn't have to modify anything in our code when we converted the command that we receive into a list. So that's it for now. Just a very simple feature. You can think of it as a warm-up to what we want to implement in the next lectures. And in the next lectures, we'll dive deeper and implement more useful features.